Hi, welcome to Uncharted Hell. I am Violetta. I will be your guide to the second part of Starry Eyes. If anybody's watching this at all, you know how excruciatingly slow it has been. I want to consider all the prior videos as more beta. This is the 7th time I'm redoing this, and I'm not kidding. It's not that I'm such a perfectionist, it's that I keep running into problems. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about it. The only things I think I have left are lighting. And I can't figure out why the fuck when I'm across the room from the camera, it looks as if I'm about to pounce through the screen. So, either it's going to be noisy, or I'm going to look like Jonathan Winters. I'm Southern, I'm vain, it's going to be noisy. And if I'm pouncing, well, just sit back in your chair. This motherfucker is going out. You know, I'm trying to learn all this stuff, and I have a handicap, and that handicap is my trainer is an idiot, and I really don't know shit. But I do know horror, and as many times as I've watched it, I know the shit out of Starry Eyes, so let's go. Now, with that lineup, it should come as no surprise that Starry Eyes is just fucking crowded with different kinds of symbols, metaphors, analogies. Now, here's some of the more obvious ones to look out for. Number 1, gates or gateways. Widmer and Couch beat your ass with this symbol. It is all through the movie, whether spoken or shown. Now, I was thinking maybe I could link that with Jung and kind of have a twofer. So I looked up, he's got all the symbols and shit. I couldn't find anything for gate or gateway, but he did. He did have something for door, and it was really profound. Hang on just a second, let me read this. Shut up, they only cost $1. He says that doors contain all the implication of the symbolic whole. I have no goddamn idea what he's talking about, but I do know gates. Back in my pagan days, and well, even now, I have a shitload of books upstairs of symbolism or symbols in general because they just fascinate me and I like looking for things myself. Now, in gates or gateways, it's fairly simple. You are passing from one phase of your life to another, from poor to comfortable, from child to adult to fucking death. Initiations, same thing. You start one, you're novitiate, you don't know shit. You go to intermediate, journeyman, I don't know. Hit this one at second. And then when you get to third, when you pass that, you're done, man. You've learned all there is to do. You are complete. And completeness means individuation. I made Jung work after all. And you doubted me. Now, I'm checking this on Widmer and Kelch. Widmer and Kelch also pointed out something. This is kind of minor, but you do see it, and it's kind of funny. Widmer and Kelch said they wanted Sarah's junky-ass room to represent what's going on inside of her. Because you see her, and she's very prim and proper when she goes outside, but her room is fucking jacked and only gets more jacked as the movie goes along, which, here we go back to Jung, persona, shadow side. Shadow side is recognizing her room. Now, Wingy also would want me to point out different colors. Her clothing she represents in different colors. I doubt that's an accident on Widmer and Kelch's part. Second audition, it was white for the novitiate, the beginning, the student. And, a lot of shit happened. It makes sense. The first audition, she's showing them. Second audition, they're kind of eliciting thing, and that's the first time they bring the strobe, which I'll bring up in a second. When she meets with a producer, she's going to wear red. Now, last time I said red represents sexuality, and it does in many, many, many different occult traditions. But it also represents metamorphosis and sacrifice, and I am fucking furious with myself for not knowing that or for forgetting it, really, because that fits so much better. This second audition, sexuality, well, kind of. metamorphosis and sacrifice. It's fucking perfect. So we're going to go with that. And then with the third audition, black, everybody knows that, man. It's a death, evil, the devil, etc. We know where she's going. It's evil. Now, back to the strobe, because that's really important. Strobes, even now, well, there's a lot of controversy on whether it is or not, but strobes can be used as a hypnotic device. And you see strobe all through the movie. And Wingy is right. When they introduced that in the second audition, he was saying that was part of the thing that got in her head, he thinks made her behave the way she did, caused what I think was a literal demon to come forth. I disagree. I think it was already there, and they just knew how to get it. They didn't put it in. But what's more important, it took me a really long time to really, really see this. Now, right before the strobe will flash, there will be a murky figure that you can't make out the details. And that murky figure, strobe happens, they're contacting her somehow. For example, in the nightmare, it's, crack-ass dawn in the morning. She has a nightmare about something that shouldn't be bad. It was the same thing as the audition. Bolt upright. She goes outside. 5 o'clock in the morning or so, the casting director calls her. It's again and again and again. It's used to manipulate her. But the great thing is, before every time that strobe flashes, that figure becomes clearer and clearer and clearer until you actually get to see the figure. If you are damn fast. I can't tell you how many times it took me before I saw this, but it's really cool. And I put up stills, which also I thought I was never going to be able to get down, but I did. So, one more thing. Forgot. Sorry. Another thing. It's not really a metaphor, but it's kind of a sub-theme, and you already heard it. Besides the be yourself, which of course we mean literal self, i.e. shadow side, you hear the producer say, this world is about the doers. And you're going to hear that over and over again. You're going to see it over and over again, because that's the difference between Sarah and those hipsters. Sarah will do whatever it takes to get what she wants. She will do anything, while the hipsters, they talk about everything they're going to do. They make all these grandiose plans, and they have a lot more fun talking about it without ever trying it. And you know that within 5 years, they're going to be selling fucking insurance or something. Married with kids, whatever. So, last time, spoilers. Spoilers galore from here on out. It's nothing but fucking spoilers. I am not holding back. If you don't like that sort of thing and you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. Come back. Sarah's getting ready to go see the producer, and here's a perfect example of what Widmeyer and Kelch were saying about the junky-ass room. See, she's really prim and put together and neat, and she's standing in the middle of the beginning of chaos that reflects the chaos in her persona, shadow side. But you also get a twofer because she's wearing a red dress, and red, metamorphosis, and sacrifice, which metamorphosis is all the way through the movie. And it also, in this context, will be the symbol for a second stage of initiation. And the usual herd of hipsters are cluttering up the living space, and they're watching audition tapes on YouTube. I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess it's sort of a Schadenfreude thing, lap at other people's auditions instead of going on your own. Oh, the guy in the video, the one who says it's fucking stupid, he actually won a crowdfunding contest, is how he got that part. But Widmeyer and Kelch were fucking dead broke, and he lived in Florida, so this is how they compromised, is to do it on an audition tape instead of in person. And Sarah comes in, and she's got this really sweet, how do I look expression? And this is kind of new, seeking approval. Usually she would just kind of slink by. But she's genuinely pleased when Danny flatters her and gives her encouragement. And so, of course, Aaron doesn't like that and makes a snarky remark about her dress. But this time, Sarah protests. Whereas before, she would just go, okay, and slink away. This time, she's giving a little fight to her, which would be good in any other context. But here it means that shadow side is growing. Here is the first example of the gateway symbolism. Sarah at the gates of Astraeus Studios. Another repeated reference, which already started in part 1. The casting director tells her, just be yourself. You hear that all the time. You hear that before interviews. You hear that before dates. It's really bullshit. What they're saying is put your best you in front so they'll like you enough not to know what you're really like. Here it's the opposite. She wants the real Sarah, the self that Sarah's not even really cognizant of yet. Now check this out. I didn't notice this for a long time. She just locked the door. And that's, I'd be awful suspicious someone locked the door behind me. But now Sarah meets a producer, and he is played by Louis Desjardins. Fucking brilliant casting. He is this slick, salon, tan cap, teeth, sleazy Robert Evans type. And he's just manic and mad and just, off the walls. Also, if you haven't already noticed, the 3 Astraeus characters don't have names. They're simply the producer, the casting director, and the assistant. I guess because they're supposed to represent stereotypical Hollywood counterparts. Or, fuck it, maybe that's their name. Now, the first thing producer does is kiss her hand. And remember, Sarah doesn't like to be touched. And then he does something I fucking hate. You know when you shake somebody's hand and they won't let go? Consciously or not, that's a power play. And here it's deliberate. And that's how they break her down. That's how they break down her defenses. They take away her security, her privacy, her comfort. The hand kissing was icky enough, but now this full-on hand usurpation establishes dominance or ownership. And to add to that discomfort is a revelation that both auditions were taped and he's seen them. But he puts her at ease by telling her, wow, she's really special. Most actresses never even make it back there. So here it gets fucking weird. When Sarah auditioned for the Silver Scream, it just seemed like some trashy DOV bullshit movie about some kind of mutant. The kind of throwaway movies you see on fucking, I don't know, cable TV late at night. But he's saying it's something completely different. He's saying it is a powerful message. It's his love letter to Hollywood about ambition and how ambition is so the blackest emotion and how primal it is. Now, the primal reference is important, but I'll get to that in a minute. Understandably, Sarah is confused. So was I. And says, isn't it a horror movie? And he says, yes, the two are not mutually exclusive. That phrase will come back again. And now he's just running that head on and on and on about how fucked up the town is and compares the industry to a plague. And like this teacher, he prods Sarah out and said, and what comes with plagues? And like this little eager schoolgirl, she goes, rats? And that just thrills his crazy ass. Something I wanted to point out. Maria Olsen, and I love that bitch. She wanted to be extra creepy in this scene because she doesn't have any lines or anything. And she has the ability to stare without blinking for very long periods of time. And she does that in this scene. But it's easy to miss because they cut back and forth. So what I did is I tried to just put all the pieces that it does show her. And sure enough, she's just looking dead ahead without blinking. And I think this deserves to be noticed. Quick montage of a woman unplugged. But as much as he's ranting about Hollywood being shallow, unoriginal, greedy, plastic, comparing them to rats, he's not disapproving hell. He's giddy as hell about it. If anything, he seems to take this demented pleasure from the corruption. So Sarah ignores the crazy.
But that's what I find interesting, Sarah. That's what I want to capture in this film. The ugliness of the human spirit.
Yeah, okay, I mean, I can see that.
God, way to ride out that cognitive dissonance, Cleopatra, Queen of Denial. Okay, now the producer's getting more invasive and he asks why she pulls her hair. But this time, she answers without shame. And she says it helps keep her in the moment, or like I said before, helps her gain control. Now, this indicates budding self-awareness because I don't think she even knew why she did it before. So, again, the producer is going on and on about how lucky she is. She's just a lowly, parasitical, uncredited actress, and they're giving her this great opportunity, and that the character of Celeste is a big deal, and just hams it up how her face would be on the poster, her name would be on the marquee, blah, 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 till she's all glowy and entranced, and without a trace of irony, she says,
That's me. I'm your girl. I will do whatever it takes for this role.
Apparently those were the magic words because the producer gives her the role on the spot. Of course, Sarah is elated and, I'm sure she wants to impress him more, so she tries to ennoble this piece of shit script by just waxing fucking rhapsodic about the character, how she relates to the character. But the producer waves her off and says, forget about all that. Relating to the character isn't important. Just as the casting director let her know that her acting wasn't important. The important thing, he says, is this world is for the doers, and she's a doer. Sarah thinks he's acknowledging her dedication, and she sort of melts and says, oh gosh, thank you for saying so. I've worked so hard. And all of a sudden he runs his hand way on up her thighs. Her dedication means dick all. Her audition is to prove she is a doer by doing him.
Sarah, you're at the gates. All you need is for me to open them for you.
And there's another gate reference, though here it sounds more like a crude double entendre, thighs, gates. But if she opens those gates, he'll make her a star. But, Sarah wasn't expecting that, and she panics, and then she sees the door is locked, and she definitely panics and demands to be let out, and bolts. So many questions here, so much going on, and I know the answers, or at least according to my fan theory, which I think is very valid. That's okay, because there's so many questions here that we can just start with that. What the fuck is going on with this movie? It's confusing as shit. Now, when Sarah did her first reading, it sounded like the kind of movie I hate. Some sad, tired, VOD, jump scare bullshit about a white trash mutant, something to do with mutation and 9/11. I mean, it just sounded like the trash. It sounded like actually about 80% of horror that's made, to be quite frank. But he keeps talking about how important it is. He keeps talking about how this is a big message he has for Hollywood and how important the movie, and more importantly, how important the role for Celeste is. Why? Why is that so important? Why is the movie so important? Now, one thing to note. Earlier, when she talked about how she had a movie, Estrella Studios, Danny said, wow, Estrella Studios. They kind of dropped off there for a little while, but they're coming back. Is this the movie that's going to put them back on top? Okay, but more specifically, why Sarah? Sarah, as they keep telling her, is an uncredited actress. She's never had a role in a movie. Why is she so important? Because she's beautiful. They're the beautiful women. Because she's talented. Let me tell you something. I used to live in Southern California. Hollywood is infested with women who are more beautiful and probably more talented than Sarah. So what's up with her? They're basing everything on those weird-ass auditions. It's something she passed, what she's going to do, how she does on audition 1, how she does on audition 2, and whether she will go through with audition 3. That's what is so important to them. But even then, it's like, okay, well, what specifically are they looking for? There is a clue.
There's something primal there, and that's why you're sitting right here in this room.
So, if ambition is primal, and that's why she's there, then obviously they see something primal within Sarah, and that's what they want. Why? Ugh. Imagine having a night like that and having to come home and face a murderer and no hose. I'd rather sleep in a fucking alley. And Sarah's just barely holding on, and here Aaron's got to go full-on wonder twat.
Maybe I should submit my headshot.
Seriously?
You know, when Erin's life passes before her eyes, and it will be very shortly. I hope she remembers this, and then she won't have to ask why that is. So Sarah's hiding beneath her little bed tent with a scarf stuck in her mouth. At first I thought, oh, okay, I guess she was muffling her crying, but according to the commentary, she does this to comfort herself. But once Tracy crawls beneath the tent and removes her scarf, she can't keep it in. She's bawling. Now, while she's trying to be sympathetic, Tracy's pretty taken aback about Sarah quitting her job, which is reasonable. But Sarah is inconsolable, and she's hinting that she could have had the part if only, and Tracy goes off.
Are you being serious? What a fucking creep, okay? Do people still even do that? Well, no one out there does.
Who the fuck cares? What? Are these shiftless assholes supposed to be the paragon of virtue? You know, maybe they should. At least they'd be doing something. And now Tracy's bragging about her own sanctified ass and bullies Sarah into sanctifying her own ass. And when Sarah doesn't agree fast enough, she acts all scandalized.
The gateway part.
There's that gate again. What the hell does a gateway part mean anyway? I mean, is that like, if you try out community theater, next thing you know, you're going to be winning an Oscar? Now, as if Sarah hasn't been stomped on enough, she gets to hear about how unrealistic her dreams are and how she should just lower her sights and be in that movie Danny never seems to write. Okay, here's where I get to say the Urban Dictionary has a definition for concern troll wrong and what it should mean. First of all, I think we should dispense with the word troll anyway. There's nothing special about a troll. Troll is just another shade of asshole, and assholes are certainly nothing special. They're common as crabgrass. They've been with us since the dawn of time, and they will be with us forever. Assholes and cockroaches roaming the earth. But if you have to have the word, concern troll is so descriptive. I guarantee you know at least one concern troll, and Tracy is the epitome of a concern troll, because this is what she does. All right, thinking, gone to 2 auditions, which looks like over a space of days. And based on those 2 auditions, a big-time producer wants you to come to his house at dark o'clock, presumably alone, and you think that might be a little suspicious? Oh, you think? And then you're shocked. Shocked, I say, when Me Too didn't protect her no-name little ass from this big-time producer. Yeah, that's why you tell her that shit before she leaves. You want to know the who, what, where, when, how. You say, I want to text when you get there. I want to text when you leave. And if anything goes down, call me and I'll come get your ass. And that's only if you don't let me come and sit in the car and wait for you. I mean, those aren't even BFF rules. I would do the same for any woman I halfway didn't want to get raped and killed. And then the bitch has a nerve to judge her little, maybe I should have moment. Which, I mean, come on. Yeah, it's wrong. But when you want something that bad, you might have a moment like that. And she does that by comparing her to the insignificant shitheads slopping about the living room. And then telling her how unrealistic it is that she would get a leading role. She ought to lower her sights a little bit and go to Danny's little movie that he's never, ever going to make. That's not what you do. Even if you're full of shit, you tell a friend, well, fuck him, baby. That asshole doesn't own Hollywood. There are plenty of other producers. You're beautiful, you're talented, blah, 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 blah. But see, Tracy's about sabotage and shame. When she comes to you and you think she's going to give you empathy, what she really is going to do is shame you and sabotage you. That's what she's about, and that is the definition of a concern troll. Ugh. There is nothing like rising up righteous, walking off your job, and then having to crawl back, roll over, and expose your belly. I know, and it sucks. And Sarah's even having a difficult time with being humble. Even though Carl's actually being pretty decent about it. I mean, he's just giving her a mild lecture about priorities, but even that is too much for her. And she asks him, "Do you want me to beg for this job?" Then get a better job, bitch! Preferably one where you don't get bisected by your own wedgie. And that kind of hurts Carl. I mean, really, she's being kind of a bitch. He's got a job to run, and she just fucking walked off, and now she's coming back giving him an attitude. You know, even I'm like, that kind of sucks. So now Carl is revealing his vulnerable side when he tells her that, yeah, all those awful gimmicks and stupid names like Freedom Top, that's mine. I made those, and it's important to me. And he just wants her to respect that. He's not a bad guy. It's just he doesn't know when to quit.
Are you a Taters girl?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm a Taters girl.
Well, a Taters girl might as well hang out with the hipsters. Jesus. Poe would play a goddamn ukulele. Sarah's sitting there, she's hearing snatches of conversations. Normally I would sneer at a hipster speaking of an austerity lifestyle, but he lives in a fucking van, so I guess he's entitled. Ashley's over there recovering from her busted nose, all tolerable, but here comes Aaron.
Hey, practice loving it like the rest of us.
Aaron, if you're going to be a bitch, then you best not turn your back. Because the thing is, Sarah is slumming. Worse than slumming. She's lost her dream, hit rock bottom, had her dick profoundly knocked in the dirt. She's a Taters girl. And I think she's honestly trying to fit in here and maybe not think these people are trivial fools. But then look at them through Sarah's eyes. Poe is openly pig-ogling Aaron's ass. Aaron is attention whoring. And of course, little Miss Lickspittle has to follow. That music-loving extra, the one that's got the accent, he really was from Russia. He was some dude visiting. I have no idea how he got that part. But Ginkgo is less impressed. Danny thinks Aaron exemplifies millennial self-entitlement. You know, for people who claim to live ironically, hipsters don't have a whole lot of self-awareness. Still, you can only slum so much. But here comes Danny, who's played by Noah Segan. You know, I knew most of the other cast members, but I couldn't place myself. Who the hell is Noah Segan? And then it hit me. He's that rapey little fucker from Dead Girl. Now that is a movie I feel very conflicted about. I like it, and I don't think that speaks well of me. Good thing I didn't recognize Segan before I watched Starry Eyes, because he is very convincing as a rotten little zombie rapist. See? And you thought he was a nice guy. So, back to nice guy. Sorta. He's being all clever, telling her, "Get off my lawn," etc., etc. It's a cutesy little segue to tell her he lives in a van. Now, he's probably used to little boho chicks thinking that's charming, but here he miscalculated.
Where I live.
You live there?
Yeah.
Why?
I love that. Clearly, Sarah's not impressed, but Danny takes this opportunity to dime out Tracy for flapping her big blabbity mouth far and wide about the producer. You know, something just occurred to me. Wonder why Danny is diming out Tracy for diming out Sarah? I mean, I'm sure she didn't want him to tell her. So maybe that's a little get close fast manipulation? Nice guy. Either way, Sarah's pretty taken aback. And then she recovers and says, maybe it'd be worth it. Danny, just like Tracy, acts all scandalized, so she goes, you know, I'm already selling my soul at Big Taters. It might as well be something I love. So Danny sees his opening, and he says, yeah, working a shit job and doing what you want is not mutually exclusive. Same phrase the producer used. Totally different context. But, you know, fuck it. Why not make the movie you know he's never going to write? And she knows this too, but She agrees to do it partly because, why not, but mostly to fuck over Aaron. She says she'll do it if he gives her the lead, Aaron's cherished role, Simone. And he does, without a moment's hesitation. Nice guy. Gotta say, though, Sarah's attempt at seduction is pretty sad. I don't think it means she's a bad actress. I think she doesn't know how to flirt. Maybe that's why she needs some champagne. Because when he walks away, you can see the truth in her face. But she snaps to when Danny comes around and drops her mouth open so he can hand feed her some friendly hallucinogen. And her game is so weak, even he looks confused. Now, in the DVD commentary, Widmeyer and Kelch said that this scene, a little bit of next, was supposed to be about Sarah's last chance to make a moral choice. But they sheepishly admitted that everybody said the same thing I did. It's like, you know that boy's never going to make that movie. He was never going to finish it. Now, here's the thing. It's like, yes, ruthless ambition can be immoral. But no ambition doesn't make you moral. Moreover, there is also nothing moral about manipulating somebody to get something from them purely to fuck them over. So not only does this not represent a moral choice for her, it is a pretty damn strong indication that her shadow side is coming out. But you know what the hell? She's willing to try. Still, when the group jumps together, she stays a step behind. Even all mollied up, she just can't connect. She goes in there and does her own solitary thing, grooving in the spotlight. And when she emerges, Danny takes her pick, and you can think she's saying, okay, maybe. Then Aaron swims up, kisses Danny, and he turns and takes her picture. Now look at her face. This may look like jealousy, but I don't think it is. I think it's contempt. She can hear the producer's voice telling her, this world is for the doers. And she knows somebody as fickle and trifling and easily distracted as Danny ain't going to do shit but waste her time. So she decides to be a doer. She calls Astraeus, leaves a message that she wants a do-over. She wants to come back. And they immediately return a call. Now this is what I mean. They want her so badly that they will return her nighttime call within 10 fucking seconds. Casting director tells her she's got 1 hour to make it to the producer's home. And off she goes. Sarah would not own a fuck me dress. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being misogynistic here. If I saw that dress on Erin or some other little girl, I go, oh, she must be going to a club. She looks good. But there is nothing sexual about Sarah. She does not radiate those kind of vibes. And if anything, if you saw that sad little seduction scene with Danny, you would know. She doesn't even know how. I don't know, maybe it's because of some nasty business from her childhood, or if it's just irrelevant to her because she only wants one thing. But there is no way Sarah would just happen to have a cut down to here, cut up to here, fuck me dress and 4-inch heels waiting around in her closet. Although it is kind of cool that with heels she's 6'4". I just love tall women. Anyway. Also, notice the obvious color, black, third audition, and as Wingy would say, and as we really all know, that represents evil, the devil, Faustian bargains, etc. Yet another gateway. Casting director warns her that this is her last chance, and so Sarah totters in, still all chemically enhanced, something else I'm positive she doesn't ordinarily do. So after a few awkward openers, the strobe flashes. By the way, in case you hadn't already noticed, just before the strobe flashes, you can see a faint image, and each time it's becoming clearer and clearer. She hits the ground, drops the pretense, and apologizes for leaving, and she pretty much begs for the part. But the producer wants proof. If she really wants that part, he can make her a star, but she has to sacrifice her whole life. Not her soul per se, but agree to become a vessel or a conduit for them to use as they please. In short, will you give up your old life for a glorious new life? Yes. But to seal the deal, she has to put his money where her mouth is. No, I'm not going to apologize. Now, I thought this was some ritual scarring of their stupid pentagram with a mullet, but on the commentary, they said that this pentagram only comes to the surface in a state of ecstasy, just as he is before he opens the gates. This is the gateway from one life to the next, from struggling to living her dreams, leaving the pretense of old Sarah and becoming the real Sarah.
The gateway is open, Sarah. All you have to do is be willing to step inside forever.
Which he invokes just after the strobe. Okay, I didn't even notice this until the other day because it's so fast on video, it's almost impossible to watch. When he says, "Let me see the real Sarah," a murky figure appears. The same one from the strobe, from the dream, same one when knocked it to the ground, and finally the form takes shape, and you see what Sarah is going to become, the real Sarah. Ironically, this sexual act proves my point that Sarah lacks sexuality, that she's not a sexual being. Sex is transactional to Sarah. There's no intimacy because she's incapable of intimacy. There's no gratification. This is simply a means to an end. And those means to an end she feels willing to do because what she thinks she's going to get in the end. So now she thinks she is paid in full. Not even close. Judging by Sarah's room, her shit must be falling apart. I get the impression she has no idea how she got back, and it takes all her effort just to get to her feet. I remember thinking, been there. Looks like one of those nasty hangovers that kind of makes you feel like roadkill and look even worse. Unfortunately for Sarah, it's much, much worse. She's doubled over in pain. Not even a tequila hangover's that bad. Oh, don't worry. A decent server never drills in your food unless you act like an asshole and 10% them on the bill. Now, Carl sees what's going on, and he's genuinely concerned, but he's got to think of the customers. And he's also a little grossed out. So he tries to send her home, and she's balking. I mean, she probably needs the money. So it's developing into this little tug-of-war, and next thing you know, they liberate a basket of Freedom Tots all over the place. Then out of nowhere, Sarah smacks the shit out of Carl, and he tells her, get the fuck out. Okay, I gotta say this really quick about Pat Healy because I've become kind of a fangirl of his. I've seen a few movies lately, and he's just amazing. He's completely different in every movie. Now, when he was hired, Widmer and Kelch had written Carl as this one-dimensional lech, a fool, and he was just going to fade off. There would be no confrontation with Sarah. I guess Sarah just would never show up again. But Pat Healy's such a great actor. He brought this complexity to Carl. I mean, he's this insecure, exasperating, but ultimately decent guy, and it's kind of endearing how he takes pride in his tacky diner. It's almost like he brings this quiet desperation kind of dignity. And Widmer and Kelch were so impressed with this that you say, you know what? Carl deserves to have the last word here. Hence the fuck off scene. I don't know why, but Sarah's hanging out with the herd. She's barely hanging on. She's not even responding when Dandy shows concern. Nice guy, right? Then why doesn't he beat the shit out of Poe for fucking sliding straight into Sarah without sorry, fuck you, or anything? Instead, they have this weird exchange where Poe wants Danny to get drunk with him. Danny declines, but he says, but I love you. I love you very much. What the fuck? He didn't ask your hand in marriage, dumbass. He asked you if you wanted to get drunk. Why don't you shallow love your quasi-potential could-be maybe girlfriend and check her for fucking injuries? Monkey see and monkey 3. Now the rest of them slide down. Erin has decided to wear her hair stupid, so Ashley fucks hers up too. Sarah seems right there on the verge of throwing up, and Danny panics and tells everybody else to get her water. But instead, all of a sudden, she pivots into exhibitionism. So, of course, Poe started taping her. Tracy and Danny try to pry the camera away, but this time Danny's weird, I love you, man, shit isn't working, and Poe has this grown man tantrum. Erin's pissed that Danny is trying to protect Sarah, And nobody asked Sarah why the hell she's exposing herself anyway. Sarah puts an end to it. And boom. Damn. Push her with her whole body. Bet she didn't see that coming. Again, nobody asked Sarah why she hauled off on Tracy. So she walks into the goddamn sinister looking alley and just disappears in the darkness while they holler after her, "Oh, it's not safe." And everybody yells at each other for not going with her, except for Aaron, who yells at Danny, who really cares enough to want somebody else to go get her. Yeah, Danny's a nice guy. Suppose you're sick and you're smelling all crazy and your head is about to burst at any moment. Danny will always find somebody else to take care of you. Sarah's actions aren't as senseless as they seem. She didn't shove Tracy for being a big blabbity mouth any more than she slapped the shit out of Carl because she hated her job. I don't think she even understands what's going on yet. But what has actually happened is that Sarah's shadow side is emerging, and she is deliberately cutting ties with everything that could hold her back. In other words, Sarah's true self cannot develop until she kills her old life. I fucking love this scene. Again, now Sarah has just enough awareness to understand that her illness is directly related to the bargain she made with the producer. And understandably, she's feeling cheated. She fulfilled her part of the sexual bargain. Why isn't she getting what she wants? So she goes to Strauss and says as much. She buzzes in and says, "I did what you wanted," but nobody answers. And she's feeling so sick and kind of whimpering to herself, and she's so upset. She doesn't even see there's a homeless guy right there, and he's been watching her. And she walks past him, and he says, "Hey, are you okay?" And I guess he startled her because she turned around and fucking goes off on him.
How dare you! How dare you touch me! How dare you!
I love the look of abject terror on the bump's face. I mean, you can see he's thinking, "I was just asking about you, lady. Now this crazy bitch is going to kill me." Realizing that she has terrorized a poor homeless guy who is simply concerned about her, Sarah apologizes and just leaves the poor man terrorized and what the fucking. And as Sarah walks the street of Hollywood, her horror really begins. She can hear the voices of the producer and the cast and director speaking to her incessantly. Now, what's more difficult to detect, and I didn't catch it till I listened to it on headphones, there's a sotto voce whisper saying, "Trust us." Now, these voices will assail her constantly, and just, will madden her after a while. So I am going to end part 2 with Sarah standing in front of a movie marquee. That's the type the producer promised Sarah would feature her name. And with so many things with Widmeyer and Kelch, I doubt that's an accident. And that wraps up part 2. Finally. A lot of people thought there were pacing issues in part 2. I didn't. It really held my interest. If so, not the case in part 3. You have everything. You have paranormal horror, you have psychological horror, you have extreme horror, and you have some nasty body horror. It is one raunchy ride, and stuff happens. See ya.